On this episode, we're going to be talking about online reviews and ratings and how the role of the client actually persuades the buyer journey, how you can leverage reviews in other marketing channels, and what is the best way to actually generate reviews very simply and easily for you so that you can take advantage of it.
Ever wonder why some companies grow faster than others? What are they doing differently? And what are their secret ingredients? That's what this podcast is all about. Welcome to Boost Sauce.
Now, this episode is brought to you by Client Boost, our pay-per-click and conversion rate optimization agency, and also our software, MeetKite. And today, we're going to be talking to some very specific people who live and breathe reviews and ratings. We actually have Sarah Patrick from Clutch, Claire Brenner from G2, and the VP, Brian Merritt from Trustpilot. So as you listen, hopefully you enjoy the content. If you do, please subscribe and give us 5 stars and give us that feedback. We want to know about it. So yeah, let's jump into it and call our first guest.
Hi, this is Sarah.
Hey, Sarah. Johnathan here over at Boost Sauce. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm perfect. This is actually funny for our listeners. This is the second time we're doing an intro because the first time I forgot to hit record. So Sarah, you are the senior marketing manager over at Clutch and The Manifest, and you guys focus heavily on review generation and being a platform for buyers to be more educated during their decision. What role would you guys say that reviews take when it comes to the buyer journey?
Of course. So early on when we started Clutch back in 2013, we saw that reviews played a really big role in the bottom of the conversion funnel. So really at that conversion stage, when a buyer was identifying and creating a short list of companies and ultimately deciding who they wanted to work with and contacting them. But over time, we've started to see that reviews are playing a greater role throughout all stages of the marketing funnel. So one data that's kind of big for us to reference is Demand Generation has this great report they come out with every year about the B2B buyer journey. And over time, we've seen that the importance of reviews has become, more and more important throughout the whole marketing funnel. So go for it.
No, I was going to ask, like, when it comes to different parts of the funnel, like, that kind of report, like what examples did they give, just so I understand better of, like, beyond bottom of funnel when they're ready to do their decision making, was there anything that was telling from that?
Yeah, of course. So they said that, or they found that reviews play a really important role in the evaluation process, because what's important, or at least what the survey respondents said was important, was that the B2B service provider that they were trying to hire was portraying content that really fit what they were looking for. So that means, did they work in the industry that the company was or is currently in? Have they been successful with past projects? So for us, that's really important and telling, just because we want to make sure we're providing that data on Clutch to kind of help these B2B buyers have this one-stop shop for all the data they need to make this decision.
Yeah, no, it's actually funny you say that. Literally before our conversation right now, we had a talk with a lead who started their journey on Clutch to find agencies like us. And he told me point blank, like, this is just a start of our process, and we want to narrow it down, but we've already selected you because of your reviews. And then we've also had other companies who've gone through, found us not through Clutch, for example. And then it kind of helps put the icing on the cake that we do have a good presence on, like, a platform like your own too. So I can be the case study proving, like, what you're saying is true. So that's awesome. Now,
that's wonderful to hear.
Yeah. So one thing I've been really impressed with you guys is, which is also kind of annoying, but it's good, is the amount of hoops that somebody has to jump through to prove that it's a correct, it's truthful, it's an accurate review, which I actually think is awesome, because it takes away the manipulation, but it also can be, tougher for our clients, even though we think we have a good relationship with them, to actually leave a review on the platform. I think you guys have struck a good balance. How did you guys decide on what's too much and what's not enough when it comes to like the accuracy and the truthfulness of the reviews you allow on your platform?
Of course. So I think when it comes to accuracy and truthfulness, that's something that is one of our number one priorities that we're committed to, just because when we started, what we were trying to do is essentially cut through any advertorials or sponsored posts that listed top B2B service providers. But then if a buyer, popped onto that site as part of their, decision-making or search process, it may not have the information they needed to make an informed decision. So for us, we really look at the reviewer and make sure that they're, first a real person, actually they're qualified to leave a review for a project. So that's for the buyers to make sure that they're getting great information. But we also want to make sure that the service providers who are trusting us with their clients and letting us speak to them are having factual information published about them.
Right.
I think we really advocate to companies that it's important to have reviews hosted on reliable third-party websites, but also to make sure that, what's being published about your company from a client or whoever it is true, is factual.
So you guys actually do like the verification through like LinkedIn, for example, is one way I noticed you, but you also, let's say for companies or people who want to leave a review that do not have a LinkedIn profile, you can actually book a time with somebody from your guys' side and almost like a journalist, like write down the factual evidence of the relationship that then turns into a review. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I think perhaps our trade-off is we want to make it as easy as possible for clients to leave a review. And then the other side is the extra work to verify that they're real and it's a solid review for the company. So yeah, we let clients schedule a phone call with someone from our team. And we have essentially a phone conversation or interview to get all the information we think is important about a project to publish for future buyers.
What, if you don't mind me asking, like obviously this is an episode about the importance of reviews. Do you guys have any like really, really cool case studies of companies that have joined your platform and then have it be better than expected from an outcome perspective? Like anything you can share with us?
Yeah, of course. So we have a company, it's a user experience company based in DC, and they were really hesitant to get on the site at first. And we were able to convince them. So I guess their hesitation was because they're a smaller company, more boutique, and really were selective with which clients they worked with. But now that they're on the site, they've been able to really build up their review portfolio. And they come back to us and have repeatedly said that a lot of their really big projects that they're most excited about, when they ask their clients how they found us, they'll say through Clutch or through organic search, which we've learned often means through Clutch. So I think that's been a success story. Someone who really converted and got to buy into the process. Yeah,
I had my withholdings before we joined you guys were the whole feeling of like building on borrowed ground, because it is your platform, you can't really control it. But at the end of the day, it's like the truth should come out. You shouldn't be afraid. Like, let's say you got a negative review. It's just a way to actually improve what you're doing too. So once I got over that fear and we started doing it and made it a little bit more systematic for ourselves, we've seen a decent amount of increase in leads coming from Clutch, which we're super, super excited about. And we want to do more with that platform too. So it's good. Now
that's awesome to hear. And I guess one thing to add, so you mentioned, this concern about getting negative reviews when kind of that process is essentially taken out of your hands. That's one of the reasons why we try to collect so much information in our review process, just so that the review comes off not only in most cases positive, but also constructive and, helps the buyer better determine if it's a good fit, if the company's a good fit for them.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Now, getting to the point of like actually taking action, we're big fans of that on the show. But like, how do B2B companies encourage their clients or their customers? What have you found are the best ways to like grow the reviews on a platform like Clutch?
Yeah, of course. So I think what we try to do is emphasize to companies that reviews are really important, not just on Clutch. We've actually found that the more reviews and the more recent reviews companies have in Clutch can increase their visibility on the site by more than 60%. So we think that also translates to, online organic search as well. So what we'll say is from the beginning of a relationship with a client, emphasize the importance of reviews and kind of set it up that you have, if you're working with Clutch, this partner, that it facilitates this feedback pipeline where all you have to do is talk on the phone for 15 minutes or submit an online review form, and it will, greatly help not only the company, like the service provider, but also future buyers who may be in that difficult and time-intensive process of trying to hire the right company for them.
Right. And then, so like one of the things that we found very helpful was we got the idea back from G2 when they like incentivize reviews for a Starbucks gift card or something like that. So we actually, because we knew it was a more time-intensive process, the clients that we knew were going to be like, big fans and things like that. Like we didn't incentivize them with much, but for everybody else, we used gift cards. Are there any like incentives that you've seen work really well for getting, because it's still a time, toll that the client or the customer has to put in. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think that's a great idea. It's something that we've tried ourselves, especially as we've grown and started to cover new segments. So I think that's great. And you see it a lot in like B2C companies where they'll offer, 10% off if you leave a review of a product. So that's something we've replicated here as well.
Okay, cool. Any other like main things that you think from a tactical perspective that people can take advantage of when it comes to reviews, even if they're already started? Like, how do they do better with their review gathering and the performance of that? Anything you want to leave off with?
I guess maybe not related to review gathering, but as more B2B companies are relying on third-party platforms like Clutch, we do really encourage them to make it really clear that they have this portfolio of reviews on their website and direct their potential customers, back to the source. So one thing that could be cool for companies to take advantage of is our Clutch widget. So if you have a company profile with us, you can essentially insert this API on your website and have it be kind of this window into your Clutch profile and your client reviews and ratings without the customers ever having to leave your website. So I think that's probably one thing to emphasize, especially for companies who may be a little hesitant to start collecting reviews through a third party, is that they're often seen as more reliable because they're not, directly curated by your team.
Right.
But also there's ways to integrate it so it doesn't have to send them away from your website.
That makes sense. Now you gave me a thought, we're going to split test that and see how it looks for us. Well, Sarah, this has been super, super helpful, super to the point too, which we love. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Hello?
Hey, Claire. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I'm pumped. For the people listening, this is Claire Brenner on the other side of the line, over at G2. And you guys were used to be calling G2 Crowd, but you've simplified now since then, it sounds like, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just recently we made the switch.
All right, cool. So we're going to be talking today about reviews, especially in the SaaS ecosystem of software businesses, what things that people can take advantage of, the good and the bad, and also some counterintuitive things that I got a little bit of a notes before this call. So I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is my favorite subject matter. So
cool.
Excited to be on.
Perfect. Well, you know the name of the game. The more tactical things that you can drop, the better. So I'll be sounding the chicken horn here and there. But I want to get started with, let's say that you, I always like to start with like hypothetical examples, but they're also very, very real examples in your world. We're a SaaS company. We're getting some traction. We want to be able to like get more reviews and get people's feedback on our product. Like how should people go about that, especially when it comes to G2 as well?
Yeah, well, I think you just made your own first point, which I always say to try and focus your efforts on one platform.
Okay.
I mean, there are a ton of software review platforms out there, a ton of review platforms in general. And so I always think it's easier to devote your efforts in one place. So,
Okay.
I mean, if we're talking about a restaurant, are they going to focus on Yelp or on Google reviews?
Good point.
And so that is going to look, a little bit different for everybody, but it's really just finding out where your audience already is and kind of meeting them where they are.
Okay.
Mostly, I would say to drive reviews, you want to ask when the time is right. Timing is not everything when it comes to reviews, but it's definitely something. And so if you're going to ask somebody to take minutes from their day to write a review on your product, you want to do it at a time when they are actually likely to do it. I say monitor mentions of your brand on social media. And if you see somebody, singing your praises, that's a great time to reach out to someone. They're already talking to you. Or if a customer refers a friend to your business, maybe reach out to that customer again. Anybody who's already talking about you is going to be pretty likely to take, 5 extra minutes and actually write that review.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. We use something internally for like an NPS trigger. So like if a client gives us a good score, not only is it a trigger for a review, it's also a trigger for a case study. It's a trigger for referral. Like there's a lot of triggers behind it. So I like what you said about timing. Take a step back. I mean, we talked about like to focus on one platform at a time. Like tell me the importance of reviews. Like why should anybody care about that? Because it's one of the things that I've been reluctant about, but we're also an agency, so we're not a software platform. But a lot of people don't know things from the outside. So, why even care to begin with?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I mean, 10, 15, 5 really years ago, nobody was thinking about reviews, and especially in the software space.
Yeah.
And so I think that shift, really started happening with Amazon. But I always say today that reviews are the new sales pitch. Consumers are so much smarter than people think they are, and they're not going to believe what you're telling them in a sales pitch anymore. But they will believe customer reviews, and they will believe people who have actually had experience with your product.
Right.
And, you can either let those go by or embrace them. So I always say to embrace them, and that means, interacting with those reviews, engaging them. So yeah, I think that was a different one.
No, I was slow to hit it. I'm sorry, but like you were so smart, because it's like people are going to say good things, people are going to say bad things. It's like you can just choose to capture the good things, but also the truthful things. Whole side note is like the negative reviews can be great for product improvements or finding out where you're weak and things like that too. But I never, because for me, I was always like, I don't want to build on borrowed land. Like I don't own G2.com. So I don't want to go and build and put all this effort into reviews over there. But I'm like, at the same time, for me, like the thing that kind of was like the trigger point was it's another channel for us. Like not you guys, obviously, but like the other platforms that we have from a agency's perspective from reviewing. And it's been working so well for us. And we can obviously capture a lot of people who are happy and in the moment, and therefore, get the actual review, and things are looking up, and we're only live for like a month so far. So I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I hear you loud and clear, but I like the way you put it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're exactly right. I always say that people are going to write the reviews, whether you ask for them or not, and whether you embrace them or not. And so you might as well get in front of it and kind of help to control the narrative a little bit.
For sure. And I know that like for me, I feel like I have more of like an incentive to write a bad review. I sound like a horrible person, but I feel like that's the truth. And because I expect the good thing, right? So if something doesn't go above my expectations, then I'm not going to go out and leave a review. When you talked about like gathering reviews and all that kind of stuff with those trigger points of being, in a positive moment, are there, like, I've also heard from people talking about like, you should not have like a crystal sparkly clean, 5 out of 5 stars everywhere, because that seems sketchy. You should also have some bad reviews, which I'm like, but why? Like, are there any benefits to any negative reviews?
Yeah. I mean, well, you said the first one already, which is product improvement. It's such valuable reviews themselves are just such valuable insight into your product and what your customers like or not. And I mean, obviously you can't take all of the feedback that you get in customer reviews, but if you identify a theme or, a ton of people are saying the same thing, then maybe it's something worth looking into. Another thing that I always talk about with reviews, especially is in the software space, is that they can literally help you identify high risk accounts before they actually churn. So
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody is going and talking a lot of smack about your product and you know that their contract isn't up for 3 months, you have 3 months to get to them and change their whole perspective of your tool, your software. So
totally.
That is such a big one. And then, yeah, I mean, negative reviews help you look genuine. Nobody is going to believe a 5-star rating. I don't believe it when I read a 5-star rating on, a hotel or a restaurant, and the same goes for software or business services. So not every product is going to be perfect for every person. That's just unrealistic. And so people will see right through that. And so negative reviews, a couple of them definitely help you look more genuine.
Like you said, if you can control the narrative, and then even if you do have the people who leave bad reviews and there's still a length of time in their contract, when you mentioned that, the first thing that I immediately thought of was Tom Cruise in Minority Report. Have you seen that movie?
I have not.
No? Okay, so
sure.
This is a great movie for people like listening right now. So basically, he's in this thing called the Department of Pre-Crime. So he has these like oracles. He's like, I think they're either twins or triplets. It's super weird. It's like a future movie. And they're laying in like this like water, and they can see crimes before they actually happen. And so Tom Cruise's department is trying to stop these crimes before they actually happen. And so my sweet correlation that I'm trying to make is like, you have the ability to use reviews like either on G2 or whatever platform as like a little department of pre-crime, like before the actual churn happens, the unthinkable happens. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but that sounds about right.
Now it's on your list. Now you can watch it this weekend and report back. Cool. Now, one thing too that I noticed, and this is not on G2, but like when I go search for a restaurant in an area that I'm not aware of, that I haven't been to, I'm seeing things on Yelp, and sometimes on these platforms I see like replies to reviews as well too, and sometimes I see people doing a really, really poor job because they kind of defend themselves without any solution. But is there any stats or data, backing up like engaging with those reviews as like the software themselves?
Yes. I mean, number one thing that I always say is that people expect a response. And I want to say with a negative review, I can't remember the exact number, but I think it's 60%, something up like that. They expect a response within 7 days.
Of a negative review?
Of a negative review.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that 7 days is honestly even a little much. Like I would aim for 3 to 4. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to respond badly, don't respond at all. So
there's a nugget. I like that.
I think there are a couple of things that make a review response especially bad. You touched on what already, getting defensive.
Yeah.
People don't want to hear that. You want to acknowledge the problem. You want to make them feel heard. That said, there may be times, I mean, this is a little less applicable in the software space, but yeah, I mean, at a restaurant or a hotel or something like that, where, a reviewer isn't entirely being genuine in those situations. I always say, stand up for yourself, stand up for your employee, but don't get defensive. Don't get angry. Another thing with review response, know when to take it offline. If somebody is responding and can't be pleased, don't do it on the platform anymore. Get their email, take it offline as quickly as possible.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then this one kind of goes for positive and negative reviews, where you just got to take the time to respond in a unique way to every reviewer. I think that a canned response is, just as bad as no response at all. If you are going down the list and copy and pasting the same response to every negative and positive review, it sounds ridiculous, but I've seen it. Then just don't, because it doesn't help your case. It doesn't make you look good.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I've seen that too before, and people don't have that situational awareness to understand how people perceive that copy and paste answer. Cool. What are some of like examples of platforms doing extremely well, like software companies doing extremely well on a platform like G2? Like, can you give us like some? I'm sure you guys have case studies. You guys are a pretty big company now. You've done great stuff. Like, what are some things where people had, like, more so than just the expectations of gathering reviews? Like, what can G2 help them with?
So G2 can help with a lot of things. One of our biggest selling points is our buyer intent data. And so people can come and basically companies can tell when a prospect is researching them versus other companies. And so you kind of know when someone is ready to buy. But I mean, some of our biggest success stories just come from people who, like I mentioned earlier, have really embraced the idea of customer reviews. They've really nailed knowing when to ask, knowing what to incentivize with. Charitable donations are a huge thing for incentivizing reviews. I'll make a note right now. You can't incentivize only positive reviews on G2 or any site really, but people, have incentivized reviews with like a gift card for a while now. But recently we've seen a ton of people starting to incentivize with a charitable donation on behalf of the reviewer. And that is, we see crazy success rates with that. Yeah.
So people have, there's a higher success rate with charitable donations versus like, here's an Amazon gift card. Is that true?
In our experience, yes.
Wow. People are less selfish. And I'm saying that because I would totally grab the Amazon gift card. Now I feel like a horrible person.
No, I know it's hard. I would too, I think. But we do, we call them event booths. And so we'll go to an event that is sponsored by a different company, and we will set up a booth on behalf of that company and collect reviews for them. Yeah. And in person, even online, because we knew that in person, when given the choice between a gift card and a charitable donation, people would choose charity because, you're right in front of them and they want to seem
make
like
you feel
nice,
guilty. Yeah.
selfless person. Yeah. But even online, I'm pretty sure we see more people opting for the charity. So it's really cool, actually.
That's interesting. Would not think of that. I think that because I've gotten emails from a software company that says, can you leave a review on G2 for a $25 Amazon gift card? And I'm like, that would be kind of cool, but I don't know if that's enough of my interest. But I feel like if a charitable donation, even if it's the same dollar amount, I feel like there's more value actually spending the time, because not only do I give that amount of money, but I also, with my time, make that connection happen for the donation. So that makes sense when I look at it that way, I guess. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a ton of success with it.
Okay. So we talked about the importance of the reviews and how, you might as well just embrace them because they're going to happen regardless, whether it's somebody who's upset on Twitter or just word of mouth or like things like that. You talked about the triggers of people who are prime for basically being reached out to and ask for a review. We talked about the negative reviews. We talked about the benefit of replying to reviews. Is there anything that we're missing in regards to how amazing reviews can be for a business?
I would just say for the business itself who's being reviewed, let reviews drive your marketing. That is something that we have seen a ton of companies embrace. Okay. And it's just been huge. So reviews can drive content marketing. They can drive social media marketing. One of our most successful demand gen campaigns was sending framed positive reviews to software companies. So, customer reviews can just, it doesn't end once the reviewer, leaves their wisdom and you reply. Like, they can drive your marketing. They can be used in your sales pitch and your sales deck, especially for sales. If your AE or business development representative can find a reviewer who has a similar use case or industry or company size to somebody they're pitching to, and then they can show how an existing customer that's very similar to this prospect had such great success with your product, like that is invaluable. It's way better than your sales pitch. So
you're stitching everything together for me. I'm just like seeing the things that we haven't taken advantage of with our reviews so far. So thank you. Continue.
Yeah, I'm happy to. But yeah, I think that's just something really cool that a lot of people don't realize. They get a review, great, they reply, they're pretty much done.
Right.
But those reviews can fuel a ton of your efforts going forward, and they can also, help you identify those perfect case study candidates,
right,
or your biggest advocates, and so they have just tremendous impact for your business.
Yeah, no brainer. I completely agree. And like I mentioned earlier too, like we have of the Net Promoter Score survey that we send out once it's at 10, and we know we work with the client for a little bit. It's a case study trigger, it's a review trigger, things like that too. So we take advantage of it, but we don't, which is so silly because we are in the paid acquisition space. This is what we do for a living, but we don't do that for ourselves. Wow. Okay. So I'm glad that we figured that one out. No, this is super cool. Yeah. Anybody who's interested, like what would they, if they're a software business and they're listening to it right now, like what are the first steps on getting on G2, for example?
Claim your page. We have a ton of software products on the website who we've never actually, and people can still review them, but they've never interacted with their G2 profile. So I think that is the first step to get started. Claim your page on G2. That's when you can kind of start messing around with some of the features. We do have a free profile option, and then start driving reviews. There is a good chance there will already be some on G2. Like I said, people can review no matter what, but if there aren't, then start driving some, run a review campaign.
Cool. Well, Claire, thank you so much for spending the time with us. Really appreciate the nuggets that you helped. And also for myself, quite selfishly, I'm pretty excited about this. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thanks so much.
Talk soon. Bye. All right, Brian, how are you?
Doing well today, Johnathan. How about yourself?
I can't complain. I'm just excited that I get to chat with somebody like you, the VP of Customer Success over at Trustpilot. Super excited to have you on the show.
Thanks so much. I hope I live up to your expectations.
We'll see. We'll see how many nuggets you can drop for us.
That sounds great.
So wanted to talk about like taking a step back of why Trustpilot is Trustpilot for one, because I know you guys are a big platform. You're very, very successful, which is awesome. But like, what's the importance of what reviews do for people? Like, what is the importance of trust in today's world compared to maybe in the past?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think in today's world, in some ways, one of the best things that happened to Trustpilot was fake news. Mm-hmm. As consumers go out there and they're looking at companies and brands, they're trusting the brands less and less. The brands are becoming, in their opinion, more and more inauthentic. However, they're trusting their friends and they're trusting random people. If you're willing to say that something is good, you're likely willing to stand behind that statement. Mm-hmm. Credibility in your Twitter feed, you're not about to go out there and tweet a bunch of companies that are great. You're going to tweet a bunch of companies that are great, that are good, that are performing. So consumers are trusting each other, and the social proof that reviews generate is what's really driving the success of Trustpilot and companies like Trustpilot.
Yeah. Very cool. What, like I always had a concern, and I mentioned this in another segment of this episode where, building on borrowed ground, that was a term I used for like starting the process of building reviews for ourselves, right? And I was always worried about it because I couldn't control it. But at the same time, I can't control anybody who's upset, about us that might start more like a defensive move from us and not being more on the offense. What are the downfalls like of not collecting reviews in today's world beyond like what I just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is the consumers are finding and your customers are finding ways to talk about you. Whether you want to keep conversation or not is where reviews come into play. You go there and challenge any company to do brand name plus reviews and see what comes up.
Right.
And when you see the litany of review sites, that are coming up, and from folks like Trustpilot and Yelp, etc. So if you're not actively engaging with your customers to collect reviews and collect feedback, you're missing out on that opportunity to converse with them, understand, learn, correct a problem that exists that they're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's something like 80% of reviews that are left online by consumers are negative sentiment, 20% are positive.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty serious because, like, you know, consumers that are upset are finding a way to vent their frustration. There are already 1,000 channels to do that.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you're asking your consumers for a review, those numbers flip. They're going to be 80% to 20% negative. Because people wanted to, oh yeah, I should give these guys a shout out. That's right. They did a good job. Thank them for that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I say to a lot of companies I work with, you know, what's your reviews collection strategy? And the answer is, we don't have one.
Right.
The answer is, no, you have one. You're just not engaging in it.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you want to participate, you've got to get out there and talk to your consumers and collect. And there is no downfall. I mean, one of the things about Trustpilot that makes us unique and different is that we're what's known as an open platform.
Mm-hmm.
Then company, and it can be reviewed by any consumer.
Yeah.
So companies with quote unquote closed platforms where consumers can't leave a review on their own are basically walling off the consumer experience.
Right.
And they're creating a problem for themselves and their brand image.
Right.
Whereas Trustpilot, since anyone can leave a review, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly, despite the company's best efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And companies are okay with that. They don't mind a 4.5-star company. They question a 5-star company.
Right.
I mean, when you go people want to see the negative reviews. They want to understand how companies are reacting. That's what happens. It's human nature. How many times have you gone on Amazon and clicked on the 1-star reviews to see what the problems were with this thing?
More for entertainment. Yes.
Yeah, that is true. There are some fun reviews out there.
Okay.
Yeah, you're entirely right. And then, so from that respect, you know, collecting reviews, sharing with these feedback that, hey, we heard you. We're sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't just do a 10% off coupon to make up for it. We actually took that step and we shipped you the right product. We reshipped you whatever was broken, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's the power of reviews and collecting reviews from customers.
So when you mentioned that people have a strategy, or like they are able to do that, but they don't have anything that they're actively doing right now, give some examples of like what some good review gathering strategies would be for people. Yeah.
So, you know, what you want to do is we kind of talk about reviews. There are kind of 3 different review categories. Service reviews. How well did the company provide your service? How was your website? How was that experience buying your product? Then there are product reviews. Okay. I bought a book. Mm-hmm. I bought a notebook. The paper stay in it or fall out. And then there are location reviews. I bought this notebook at this store.
Okay.
We focus on the service side of the house because that's how easy it is for customers to use and enjoy and buy your products. Your website was really simple. So in that case, you want to collect those reviews immediately. Mm-hmm. You know, as soon as they check out, the next thing they should see is leave us a review. How was your experience on our website today? And that's great information that you can share with your product teams, your website teams to improve the experience of your website.
Yeah.
You want to put product reviews, typically, you know, depending on what your shipping looks like, a few days after the customers receive the product. They've had a chance to play with it, see if it works, enjoying it.
Okay.
And then location reviews you tend to want to collect after the customers have completed a visit to the store, to the service center, whatever the physical location might be.
Yeah.
So that's where you send out a text message to the customer when they walk out the door to leave a review of how is it working at my Wilmington, Delaware store,
right,
or wherever it might be. Actually, Wilmington either. Just pick the
city. Okay. And I know there's an opportunity to do that, to build a presence on another platform, but there's also other ways. And I know this because we actually did a webinar with you guys some days back, and it was leveraging the reviews and the social proof beyond the platform itself. Do you have any examples you can share with the listeners on that?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, you know, your Trustpilot profile page, your company's profile page on Trustpilot is a great place to showcase it. But that's not where we want your customers to be seeing them. We want them to be seeing your reviews on your website at key points in the conversion funnel. We want them to be your Instagram story and sharing that in sharing it there. We want this to be on your Facebook tab where your fans are going to look at how you're doing. And I'm debating work with this company. Let me check on Facebook. What do their reviews look like? We want them to show up when companies search brand name plus reviews.
Yeah.
You know, so there are lots of different places where you want to have those proof points, and depending on your marketing strategy, you can figure out the right things to do. One of the actually awesome things about reviews is that once you start collecting them, it's free UGC. You're not paying copywriters. You're not paying
user-generated content for people not knowing that acronym.
User-generated content. Good. It's content that your consumers are creating for you, about you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not more real than that.
Yep. Absolutely. So basically, you're saying that you want your Trustpilot reviews to be everywhere.
Everywhere, and we've got we've got case study after case study that show that, including reviews in your cart abandonment email. So if you're an e-commerce site and put something in the shopping cart but doesn't include the checkout, you send them an email after the fact saying, "Hey, you left this computer in your shopping cart," including a review on there. In that email is like, "Oh yeah, that's right. This is a trusted company." It's like 200% increase in the click-through rate of those abandonment.
I saw the same thing with the ads too, like Facebook side, for example.
Facebook ads, digital ads, whatever you're buying at that trust mark is like 87. There's a research report out there that says 87% of consumers trusted advertising with a trust mark in it. Mm-hmm. I mean, specifically versus some of our competitors, but they inherently trust that ad.
Yeah.
And so they're going to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're spending the money to place these ads to begin with. Why not get the ROI on it for additional dollars? You're just changing some of the layout.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can get more out of it. Brian, you've been straight fire gunning all these tactics out, which I love and appreciate. What other things do you think people should be aware of, or we haven't asked you when it comes to reviews?
Yeah. So when it comes to reviews, just a couple of quick bullet points here, Johnathan. Again, you want to take control of the narrative. That's the most important thing about reviews. And you don't want to wait. If you're launching your e-commerce company, there is a company out there like a pissed consumer or like that's about to go ahead and have pissed consumer / your brand name. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be collecting negative reviews. We call them like ransomware sites. They're going to hold you hostage and make you pay to take them down.
Right.
You want that review strategy to happen early. You're in the middle of a website redesign, reviews. Because you know what? You can use those reviews after your website's designed. It's not about today. It's about having content that you can live and use all the time.
Right.
When you're leveraging reviews, include the date stamp and the name of the person who left it if you can. Consumers trust recent reviews. It shows how your company's operating today, not last year. So those are probably three key nuggets there. Hey, that folks can leverage in terms of how they effectively use reviews.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's super awesome. Straight to the point, like I mentioned to you, Brian. Really, really appreciate your time. Thanks for being so effective.
No, my pleasure, Johnathan. So really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, we'll be in touch and we'll chat soon.
Did I live up to your expectations?
You totally did. Yeah, we got some more research on the nugget count to figure out. But as far as like nuggets per minute, I think you might be in the leading category now so far.
Cool. I like that.
Cool.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah, I'll just talk to you later.
All right, bye. All right, so we have 2 questions for this episode. The first question comes from Michael Musa. He's saying, social proof is valuable. I get that. But are there any instances where featuring reviews on my landing page or ad creative that would be considered a bad practice? So Claire Brenner from G2 says, I would say yes. This may go without saying, but if you're featuring a review, you need to do everything in your power to make sure that it's legit. When you're putting something in the public eye like that, it's more susceptible to scrutiny. If it's fake, there's a good chance somebody will find a way to call you out on it. You can spot fake reviews if something is overly positive, lacking in-depth knowledge of the product or service, or lacking any sort of personal anecdote. That's actually really important to consider. Sarah Patrick over at Clutch says, as long as the reviews are relevant to the landing page or ads intended audience, reviews can help build trust. It would be a bad practice to share reviews that are irrelevant to a particular audience, though, since we know that people increasingly want information that's tailored to them. Cool. The second question comes from Jess Park. She asks, how can you incorporate reviews ratings into PPC efforts? Shopping can pull seller ratings, but what about Facebook and Instagram? How can you use these to improve brand trust for people who have never heard of you before, say in a prospecting campaign? Claire Brenner from G2 says, I don't know a ton about PPC efforts, but I do think the review quotes can make for some really solid ad copy. We've seen screenshots of that where not just in the copy of the actual like let's say Facebook ad or Instagram ad, but actually in the visual of it, it can have like the actual platform that the reviews are coming from, and like the 4 out of 5 stars, for example. We've seen that again and again do really, really well. Sarah says over at Clutch, this is Sarah Patrick, she says Google Ads has seller ratings ad extension that shows on both text and shopping ads. The extension features a business's star rating out of 5 and number of reviews. This data is collected from sources Google considers reputable that aggregate business reviews. Facebook's experimented with pulling star ratings and review count into Facebook ads, but I believe they rolled back this feature. I believe it's powerful to use client testimonials and reviews in Facebook ad copy, though. It helps build trust, especially when your customers are at the beginning stages of the buyer's journey. Awesome. Well, we will pick a winner out of that, and we will send a prize to the best question there. I'm actually just going to make the decision and say Jess Park. I thought those were more in-depth, got some bigger answers too. I thought it was really, really great. Everybody listening, again, as we continue this journey on building our podcast and getting more listeners, your subscribes, your downloads, your actual reviews of our podcast, the more 5 out of 5 stars that we can get, the better, because that will help us attract just bigger names for our guests. So hope to catch you on the next one and chat soon. Thank you.